While you're sort of still in the chair, it seems an appropriate time. Two things I wanted to bring up. The first one being, obviously, you said to on a previous Zoom call that you felt as though you'd achieved virtually nothing other than stand in a corner for the Greyhound people. First, on the first instance, you got your rules changed on disqualification. How many years has it taken you?
Five, I think it is.
5 years. Five
Yeah,
years. It
so
was a stroke of a pen. It was a stroke of a pen. It was just ignorance that stopped that being proceeded with, wasn't it? Really.
well, if anybody asks me to try and look at anything else, I should probably put my hands up and turn around and say no thanks. I've been there and I've tried to do it, and I mean, what actually came in wasn't what I was after, but you know, like everything, you compromise a bit and you try and work with people. Well, us trainers do. We try and work with people and we try and compromise and we try and work along the way. Uh, Hopefully, others can learn from that example. I hold my breath though, and I still think it gets really our voice heard, and that's what it's all about. It gives people time to have a look again, have a little bit of a chat, and think about it. And they've got time now, so that's all we wanted really, was to actually maybe get your voice heard a little bit, but give people the time. I've got plenty of respect for racing managers to make the right decision. That's never been my worry.
No.
My worry has always been the snap decision, what people got to make. And I spoke to some very respectful racing managers about it. And, you know, it is that short time what they've got, which if they could change, they would change. And it has been changed now. So I'm hoping, I want people to respect the racing office and deal with this politely and sensibly, because what chance have we ever got if people don't do it sensibly and in a decent way now? The first thing what has been changed, and the first time they have got a chance to have a chat, you know, you will get nothing in the future if you don't do it courteously. And, you know, I expect people to do that.
I agree. We had a good letter in today from Simon Harris, of course, ex Wimbledon, Coventry, Hall Green, vastly experienced. You know, his argument has been all the way through. When these rules were first invented, video didn't exist, so racing managers had no choice. And the thing that occurs to me, I don't want to see racing managers getting weak either. I don't want to see racing managers turning a blind eye, because that helps none of
No,
us. You've got a dog in
no,
a race, you're going to go, I don't know what to say about the race. There's an absolute screw in this race that's probably going to fight us off the second bend if it gets the chance. I'm not interested in the race. I can't get involved. We can't have that either. And we've got to
no,
support the racing officers in terms of what
yeah,
they do. Which leads me, because this is all very clever stuff, the way this is all put together, leads me onto the thought that you've been banging your head against a brick wall for 5 months, or for 5 years, to try and get this change. We are now not a million miles from looking for a replacement for John Coleman, who's stepping down as the owner's representative. Um, Mr. Mitchell, there's a few people who seem to think that you've got yourself in line for this job.
I seen some comments saying that my column on Monday was more like an application form and bits and bobs about me being an owner's rep. I can 100% say I will not be putting in for owner's rep. I respect the work that Peter does, and I'll support the next person that wants to be an owner's rep, but it definitely won't be me. I won't put in for it.
Now, I was going to say what you'll be obviously pledging is the day you put your application in, you'll be writing a cheque for Rita James at Caged, will you?
Absolutely, she can have what she wants. She could have £1 million if she wants, but no, it's not. I'm quite comfortable with what I do. I haven't got the time. I've got my own career, my own things going on. What I do in greyhound racing, I'm more than happy. As I say, I would support the next person. I support the work that Peter does. It's a thankless task, but no, it's definitely not for me being the owner's rep.
Yeah, so I'd make a couple of points. First being, I would suggest to any owners that are watching this that given the nature of what we previously talked about, you are going to be far more effective outside the boardroom than inside the boardroom. At which stage you've got at least one arm tied up behind your back with people saying you can't say this, you can't say that, you can't repeat this, it was said in the boardroom, etc. The second point would be, obviously, there is a requirement for an owner's rep, and I'm interested to ask Peter. You know, one level we're saying you've only got limited powers, but there's surely not that isn't a reason not to do it, is it?
I can tell you now, Floyd, my time at the board is not about what I've got. And actually, I don't think anybody who sits on the board should be about what you get. It's about working for the betterment of the people you are working for. But also, I was trying to go in there, what's best for ground racing? There's lots of things I might have agreed to that trainers might have said to me, well, I didn't want that. And I might say, well, maybe as trainers we don't. But in the long run, for the betterment of ground racing, which then has an impact on trainers, I think that was the right decision. And I think anybody who sits on the board should always have the betterment of the sport of ground racing on their mind. Now, I think one of the biggest things I've achieved along the way is get the trainer's voice heard. And I think that is the major thing for owners, is to get their voice heard and put the owner's point of view across. And at any opportunity, I try and put the trainers, even in the bond scheme, the value what it was looked at. I argued the case, you know, in this sport we can't afford certain things. We couldn't afford what it was first muted at, and it was changed. You know, they took my view on board, and it was changed. So when I think about the DQs, and I think that's the only thing, I think I saved a hell of a lot of trainers and breeders from being lost to the sport by putting the point of view across on the bond scheme. So
describe to me the person you sell it to an owner. Why would they possibly want to do this? It's an unpaid job, despite the crap that we have to listen to about how you're earning fortune. It's unpaid, it's voluntary, it's a time commitment, it's quite often a thankless task. Just sell it to an owner as to why it's worth doing.
Are they passionate about the sport, and do they want the sport to work for an owner and in the owner's interest? And if they are a passionate owner and they like owning greyhounds, why would you not want the sport to flourish for owners? If you want to sit back and blame somebody else for everything what goes off, or the owners haven't got enough say and it's not in the interest of owners, there's plenty of people who'll sit back and be on that keyboard typing away and calling people this and that. And
somebody should,
yeah.
Can I just
in there? The only reason I put in for it, because people said to me, "Why did you do that, Peter? Why did you go?" And I had all that Salica 68 nonsense. If I'd have kept my head down, nobody had ever sort of gone on greyhound data and studied to see how many dogs of mine retired and make up some phantom number. You know, I did it because I didn't think the trainers were going to get a voice, and I didn't think anybody else was going to put themselves above the parapet to get shot down. And I thought,
and they didn't come back, did they? When you were there for a renewal, there was nobody else queuing up to say, "Well, I'm prepared to do it."
And that's it. And I said, if there's somebody comes along and I think they're a good candidate, I'm very willing to turn around and go, "I'll put my support behind you. I've done enough. I've got plenty of other things to do." The wife was mad at me about spending the time what I do on greyhound racing. So, if somebody had come along, I'd have stepped straight down and said, "Good luck to you. You have a go." But there wasn't. And without our voice, how can we ever expect to get things in which help us out or do any good? And I wasn't the sort of person who was just going to sit on the sidelines, shouting and moaning because the trainer's lot isn't good enough. So I thought to myself, you know what? And no end of people said to me, "You must be mad, Peter. You must be mad." And you know what? Many, many occasions, I thought, "You must be mad, Peter. You must be mad." But it's just on them rare occasions where I see a bit of a chink there, and I think, you know what? I'm quite pleased with that. Quite pleased with that. They're very few and far between. So if an owner comes along, the last thing we want is somebody who's going to bang and shout on the table thinking they're going to get what they want. They ain't going to get anything they want, but they can just maybe help a little bit.
Maybe contribute, yeah. Mick, you had something to add?
I 100% agree with everything Peter just said, and that, I take my cap off to him and whoever takes the owner's job. As you've touched on, it is a thankless task. it's like you said before about having your hand tied behind your back. I'm quite happy with what I do on social media. I'm quite happy with what I've got on, and yeah, perhaps people will watch this and say, well, he's just what you've described, the keyboard warrior, doesn't want to put his head above the parapet. But I think to myself about writing that Monday column and some of the things that I do bring up, would I be able to continue to do them type of things? Would it give, for me, I just feel like I'm in a position where I can say and do as I like. I'm an owner. I've got a syndicate with Matt in the UK and Australia. I'm quite comfortable saying exactly what I think, because as I say, my heart is in the sport, you know, and I'm the same as you, Peter. My missus will say to me, the amount of hours you put into that game, you know, you're on Twitter, or you're doing this or you're doing that, you know, and yeah, it's for the sport, isn't it? You know, that's all I think. I just want to be able to, for there to be a sport in the future for me to take the kids and for them to get into it.
Yeah, it's something that, you know, that we're doing this now, and as we both know, there have been people who have made my life very difficult by even having you involved in in the Zoom calls, and having your comments on the paper. And I'm sorry, but that's nothing but bullying. That's bullying. They're trying to. One of the great, maybe people don't realise it, but you don't earn your living from the ground industry, and it, for someone who doesn't, you are reasonably sort of fireproof, that you can't be got at, because people would get at you, and they would make your life difficult. We know who they are. And if that happens, then you're censored and you can't do anything. And we need to have a voice. We need to be able to say this stuff, because people get frustrated. And it's when people become frustrated, that's when they go to the forums and they come up with some obscene and disgusting stuff that appears there that has no right. But it's a lot of it, I think, born out of pure frustration.